Across the prairies of the Flint Hills, music from the organ, the king of instruments, can be heard throughout the many communities of Kansas and beyond. The memorial organ, housed in All Faiths Chapel at Kansas State University, helps fulfill the university's land-grant mission to serve the people of the state, enriching lives and touching hearts. Although this organ's parts and pipes come from Hartford, Connecticut, the music originates in Manhattan at the hands and feet of those who perform across the state, from Colby to Council Grove, Parsons to Pratt, and Topeka to Troy. All Faiths Chapel is an outward expression of K-State's commitment to organ music, existing since its early days. Dedicated in 1956, All Faiths Chapel memorializes K-State family members who lost their lives serving in World War II and the Korean War. For nearly 100 years, K-State organ students have embarked on their journey of mastering the king of instruments. They have shared their passion with communities across the state of Kansas and the nation. This is the story of the All Faiths Chapel Memorial Organ, how its history and legacy have influenced the lives of K-State students for nearly 60 years.
I think that the primary role of the organ program here at Kansas State University is to build within students a renewed or a newfound appreciation for the organ as an instrument. The most common way in which an organ is seen in action by the general public is in a church service. The organ is really a tailor-made creation for the room in which it is to be housed.
I think it's interesting that in the building of this chapel, the organ professor at the time, who was really pushing, we need an Austin, and all of these reasons and the things that would be perfect for this space. And so as early as 9 years prior to the organ being installed, there was that seed of, we know that the All Faiths Chapel is going to be built, we want this kind of instrument in here, and so a lot of efforts were made to make that happen.
It really, I think, speaks to the mission of Kansas State University of being a university of the people and of the state, and providing opportunities, outreach, and culture to places that might not have that so easily accessible. The American organ underwent a significant change starting in the early 1930s. The organ here was dedicated in November 1961.
The most unique aspect of it, it's the last instrument designed by James Blaine Jameson, who was actually a rather influential figure in American organ building through 1900 to 1950. What people like Jameson, or our tonal director, does is they actually design the physical parameters of the pipe to create the exact sound that they want within a given family of tone. And that's part of the uniqueness of what Jameson brought.
What makes this instrument significant for our students and for the community is that we're holding true to that original design.
After being here a short amount of time, saw the historical significance of this instrument and nominated to the Organ Historical Society that this instrument should receive a historic organ citation. They were gracious enough to award the certification. This is only one of 2 instruments in the state of Kansas that does have a historic organ citation from the Organ Historical Society, and the only instrument at a university in the state of Kansas that has this certification.
life has been very different because I took organ.
I started formally in the music program when I was 23.
I remember one of the first times it was a beautiful chapel on the college campus that we had access to practice, much like All Faiths Chapel here at K-State. And I was in this big space all by myself, and pulling it out to full organ and just letting it rip was pretty cool.
I think it's important for students to have in their mind's eye and ear what a good instrument really should sound like.
Just the not only the large sound you could produce, as a singer, is like, wow, this is a big thing.
I wouldn't have ventured into being a church organist without it.
You feel pretty powerful. It's pretty cool, yes.
I don't think you have to be a master's or a PhD in organ to appreciate what the organ is, what the organ can do.
That's part of their educational experience, is to get out into the churches here. I think what that does is it instills in our students a sense of service.
Certainly it will involve, playing in church, teaching also to a certain extent.
I firmly believe that getting an education, you have a responsibility to use your education. You have a responsibility to help others through what you've gained in your training. And so I think through that kind of service mentality and outreach mentality that we have in the school, and particularly in the organ program, that helps lay that seed for the student when they are a student and then when they're out into the world.
I wouldn't be an organist at all if I hadn't had the training at K-State. Don't think that the organ is something that ordinary people can't aspire to. Don't think it's for only a certain class of person, who's had all the musical training.
I'm very grateful to be part of a university and an institution that values the organ and its role in the future, because it is still a vibrant and still a very important element and aspect of the musical fabric in the United States.
It could be you. It could be that child that's sitting here that really doesn't have a lot of the advantages.
Several years ago, there's a perishable leather that makes up a lot of the action parts, and it truly had reached the end of its age, and we were very fortunate that the money came through and we were able to fully re-leather this instrument.
I think it's worthwhile for anybody to have the experience of playing organ if they're at a level with piano skills that they can do that. You can't get that everywhere. In fact, you can't even get organ instruction everywhere.
The organ is sensitive to environmental change, and These tuning slides that you see on top of the instruments move. The stoppers over time get loose, need to be repacked and replaced. And having an endowment that is devoted to instrumental maintenance helps the university continue to keep these instruments in excellent condition.
For long term, what we love to suggest to clients is if they could put away 1% of the replacement value of the instrument every year, when the time comes for a major expense like a releathering, the money is already in escrow, and it's not a shock to anybody.
There are any number of ways in which a gift could be crafted to fit the wishes of the donor and the needs of the school.
Through the organ, we can make music that brings that sense of community.
Many times there are plenty of churches who need organists.
They're not enough to fill all the churches, and they're aging. It's an aging population.
There are ever fewer numbers of university organ programs who either offer organ instruction at all or who have a full-time faculty member teaching organ as part of their load.
The organ is the central worshiping vehicle for the congregation. It not only is there for service music and for solo music, but truly it leads worship through the playing of hymns or leading into hymns, and is really integral to the flow of the service.
When you have a very liturgical church service, a lot of liturgy going on, the organist is basically the one that makes that happen. Pretty much controls it, keeps the tempo up, and so forth.
We certainly, within the music program, allow students the opportunity to diversify their skills as musicians by offering the organ as an opportunity for study. So it allows musicians an opportunity to secure income as either church organists or playing for wedding or for funerals, or for serving as an opportunity to play for graduation ceremonies.
I like the fact that you can take organ here and not be an organ major. That makes that instrument accessible to way more people, and in turn, it'll make it more accessible to people outside the university.
I think that the kind of values that the university, in terms of what the K-State way, the family environment and atmosphere that they have here, that translates into that need for our students to go out into the community and make it a better place. And our organ students do that through serving their community through their artistic endeavors at the organ.
Reaching beyond campus, the legacy of the All Faiths Chapel Memorial Organ continues to serve Kansas State University and the people of the Sunflower State as organists enhance their musical skills and give the gift of music to their communities. Students who have studied organ at the chapel can now be found behind the keyboards of organs in churches and elsewhere across Kansas, the Midwest, and the nation, spreading the music of the King of Instruments far and wide as a mark of excellence in the field. K-State has demonstrated commitment to the organ and its music through instrumental maintenance and music scholarships for organ students, helping the music of the All Faiths Chapel organ continue to be heard well into the 21st century.